There we go. Okay. Good evening. This meeting of Littleton Licensing Authority will come to order. Could I ask you all to please join me? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do the roll call first.
Chair Cole.
Here.
Vice Chair Levere.
Present.
Authority Member Buchanan.
Here.
Authority Member Schock.
Here.
Authority Member Webb. Authority Member Day.
Here.
Authority Member Winsack.
Here.
All right. We have a quorum. I'd ask you all to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Next item on is approval of the agenda, but before we do so, we have a potential change to the agenda. Lena, would you mind walking us through that, please? This is regarding what's currently item 8. what is currently item 7.5.
7.5A.
7.5A, which was a motion to vacate the stipulation agreement and order for Retro Wasteland LLC. So Lena, could you fill us in, please?
Yeah, so this was having to do with the payment for the Toad Tavern for their fine that came from the stipulation order. We had brought a motion to vacate the stipulation because the payment was believed to be late. After further review, it turns out that it was sent to the wrong address, but was actually post-dated before the due date. And so it was the city attorney's opinion that the motion to vacate should be taken off the agenda tonight.
Okay. Any questions from the authority?
Who did they mail it to?
It was mailed to the sales tax post office box, the lock box.
Rather than the clerk?
Yes.
Any other questions? So I will move that we remove agenda item 7.5A.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Then with that, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. Next item on the now approved agenda is 4A, the certification of the October 11th regular meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes, or I'll entertain a motion?
I move to approve the minutes for the October 11th, 2017 regular meeting of the Littleton Licensing Authority.
We have a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that brings us to item 6.1A. Oh, that's right. Thank you. That brings us to item 5, public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to speak, who is not here to speak about something that is otherwise on the agenda? All right. Thank you for the reminder. That now brings us to item 6.1A, resolution to approve a liquor license application for CIP 2014 PCRIL Hotel LLC, doing business as Residence Inn, Denver Southwest Littleton, 3090 West County Line Road, Littleton, Colorado. Good evening. I'm guessing you are here on behalf of the licensee?
Yes.
Or you are the licensee?
My name is Steve Ryan, I'm the general manager of the hotel.
Mr. Ryan, would you raise your right hand? And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this authority is truthful?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. And before we proceed, we've got a number of exhibits, some of which I'm sure you're going to be speaking to. So I'm going to move, we enter exhibits A through G into the record. Anyone want to second that?
Second.
Second. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And just for your benefit, that is the application itself, the police department memo regarding a background check, the waiver around the boundaries for the petition, proof of posting on the premises, proof of publication, the petitions themselves, and then I have here the public hearing roster. So I understand that a couple of the folks who would normally be here with you this evening were not able to make it, which shouldn't be a problem. We'll be happy to help you through the process.
Appreciate that.
If you leave anything out, what we like to do usually is just let the applicant start off by giving us a little bit about your establishment. So if there's anything you want to start off with, and then, like I said, we'd be happy to make sure that we ask you all the questions we need to get the information to assess
Okay.
the application.
So it is a Residence Inn by Marriott property. We're a 116-suite hotel that will be in the southeast or southwest or east corner of Santa Fe and County Line Road. The reason for the application is we have part of our brand standard is what we call the Residence Inn Mix, and we also have a market that is on premises where we will sell from the market but give out beer and wine during our Residence Inn Mix, which is a social setting, a network setting for our guests.
Is that like a manager's happy?
It is like a manager's, yeah, but they
Different name.
fancy names.
Sure.
Sure. So it will be, confined to our public areas, our lobby, our fire pit area, which is outside, and any of the common corridors. Nothing will be sold to be consumed in our suites. And everybody will ID everyone who, if they're coming down for the mix, no matter the age, they will be ID'd. If they're selling something out of the market, they will be ID'd to ensure they are of age.
Do you, I'm just going to jump in if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Do you all, what sort of training do you do for employees who will be involved in the sale of alcohol?
So everybody's gone through TIPS training online, and they are all aware that my mandate is that everyone is going to be ID'd and ensure that they are of age.
Of age, and within that TIPS training, there's also things about identifying potential sale to an intoxicated person.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. We will sell beer and wine from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Okay.
So we're going to cut off an hour early just to ensure that, no one's loitering around the lobby there for any excessive amount of time.
Sure.
Too, so.
And you said that the sale would just be consumption in the common areas, not for consumption in the rooms?
From what I understand, that is currently how the layout is
Okay.
for this particular license, that we can only have it for their common areas and not anything consumed in the suites.
Okay, and I know we have a reading on the layout, but there's a lot on here, so I just want to make sure. You said there's an outdoor area. Will there be a fence or something that indicates where people need to keep alcohol in that outdoor area?
There is a half wall of stone around that area,
Okay,
so that is, and then after that it leads to the parking lot. So
and would there, I'm guessing there's an exit somewhere in there for fire. Near the exit, would there be a sign indicating that people can't take?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Do you plan on IDing every time, or are you going to do like a bracelet or?
Every time.
Every time?
Yes. So if they've come down the night before, they're getting ID'd. If they're coming down or if they're at the social situation and they come in for another beer or wine, they're going to get ID'd also.
Okay.
So each time. And that is, that will be, I have a server for that particular period from 5 to 7:30. And there'll also be a manager of some sort there to back them up to ensure that someone's always there if they have to go in the back to get some food or whatever.
And also, I see there's a highlighted area about where alcohol storage is. Will the alcohol be, will it be locked up wherever it's being stored?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And would all the staff have access to that? No, okay, just management?
Yes.
Okay. I think, why don't we ask any questions except for the petition? We can get to that in a minute. Does anyone have any general questions?
How many employees do you anticipate will be selling or distributing?
Well, I have potentially could be up to 6. So with the desk clerks, night auditors, those individuals working the desk, and then one Residence Inn Mix associate that will be serving the food for those. It's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so it's not 7 days a week. It's just 3 nights.
In that time period of those 3 nights, 5 to 7:30 you mentioned, the alcohol is complimentary? Is there a limitation to how many a guest may have?
No, unless they show that they're intoxicated, and then we will cut them off.
Are you manager of any other, I'm assuming not any other licenses here in Littleton, but do you manage any other?
No, I do not.
Liquor licenses? Nope.
No.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions before we get to the petition? Would you like to, like I said, I understand the city clerk told me that your petition representative was unable to make it. We have all the information. Is there anything that you'd like to highlight to us about the petition?
No?
No.
I think,
Okay.
I think I'm good, hopefully. Yes.
Okay. Any questions from the authority about the petition?
No.
Sorry, any questions from the authority here about the petition? No.
The only thing I would state, and this probably isn't directed towards this applicant, but just in general, I've noticed other petitions had, for one of the lines, one of the columns for the signer was a reason or a notation kind of box where they could say why they were opposing, and they could write it in themselves. This petition does exclude that as an option, which is not, I like the other way better, but.
Okay.
I know these petition companies have their own standards, and I just state it for the record.
Yeah, okay. For those of you who may do petitions who are listening at home, duly noted.
Maybe for those listening at home too, is there actually this one, there was nobody signed in opposition?
Yeah, this is 100% is what I see.
Like not even, sometimes we'll see in opposition, but it's not for a reason that
Correct.
is applicable.
Right.
And,
That's a good, yeah.
That's unusual.
I see 143 signatures and 143 are for, so.
There were 53 that declined to sign,
Correct.
and they gave different reasons for why they were declining to sign. But, yeah, you're right.
But not opposed.
Which is a good point. Thanks for making the note. Any other questions for the applicant? None. Is there anything else that you want to bring to our attention? We often like to ask when you all will be open.
Actually, just hot off the press, November 21st, we hope.
Okay. And you'd obviously like to be serving, I'm assuming, as soon as you can?
As soon as we
Once
can,
the application
yes,
is
that'd be
approved.
great. Yes.
Okay.
And as I understand correctly, this is something that most of the other similar hotels in your chain do? Is that
Yes.
one of the reasons you're trying
Yes.
to bring it up to speed with?
Staying with our brand standard and across the board.
Any other questions? I will ask, is there anyone else here who would like to, I don't have anyone signed up, but is there anyone else who would like to comment on this before we close the public hearing? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move that public hearing be closed and the resolution of the Littleton Licensing Authority be approved, which grants CIP 2014 PCRIL Hotel LLC doing business as Residence Inn Denver, Southwest Littleton, 3090 West County Line Road, Littleton, Colorado, a lodging and entertainment liquor license, contingent upon approval by the Colorado Liquor Enforcement Division and based upon the following findings of fact. 1, that notice of the hearing was properly posted and published. 2, that the applicant has possession of the premises and premises are suitable for the requested license. 3, that the needs of the neighborhood are not now being met. 4, it is the desire of the adult inhabitants of the neighborhood that the license be issued. 5, existing similar license to the designated neighborhood are not adequate. And 6, the applicant is of good moral character, record, and reputation.
Do we have a second?
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, it seems to me like all the paperwork is in order. No derogatory information from the background check, and as you noted, the survey was a resounding number in support. So why don't we poll the authority, please?
Chair Cole,
Yes.
Vice Chair Levere,
Yes.
Authority Member Buchanan,
Yes.
Authority Member Day,
Yes.
Authority Member Schock.
Yes.
All right. Congratulations, Mr. Ryan. Welcome to Littleton.
Thank you.
Hope everything goes smoothly with the opening.
You'll have to stop by after we open.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is 7-2A, determine if probable cause exists to set a show cause hearing for Platte River Bar and Grill, Inc., doing business as Platte River Bar and Grill, 5995 South Santa Fe Drive, Littleton, Colorado. We have several exhibits. Exhibit A through E. I'll move that we enter exhibits A through E into the record.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And again, for those who may not be aware, Exhibit A is a memo from Littleton Police Department. Exhibit B is Exhibit B, C, and D are all police reports, and Exhibit E is proof of notification to the applicant. Does city staff want to provide us with any background, or should we discuss amongst ourselves?
I would just, if anybody has any questions about the procedure, I know it's been a little while since we've had one of these, and any questions about what to consider when doing a probable cause. I think that the information is in the packet and speaks for itself, but if you have any questions about what you should be considering.
I've got a question about timing, some of which I'll save until the end of the agenda as far as going forward. But as far as this and the next agenda item, is there a statute of limitations on items like conduct in the establishment, or because a couple of these items are fairly old? No. And would it matter? I mean, this is because it's up for renewal. We're looking back.
Correct. These came to the attention of the city clerk's office and city attorney's office when we were doing the Littleton Police Department check for renewal.
And so if we were to find probable cause, does it matter whether or not it's probable cause on any given item for that incident's own sake, or because it's a renewal? It doesn't really matter at this point. The point is, was there a violation? Okay. Are any thoughts from the authority?
Chair?
Yes.
To be clear, this is coming to you as probable cause and not a pre-renewal. So
Got it.
whether or not
Okay,
you
so that is
find
the
probable
distinction.
cause, their renewal will not be impacted.
Got it.
Okay?
And when is the renewal?
They are in process right now with Platte River. I believe it's December. Is that right? Yeah. December, but they're in process right now.
And I had a question, because I mean, so on the Platte River, which is the one we're looking at now, there's 7 distinct items listed in this memo that we have. And is it the cumulative impact of the 7, or is it any of those individually?
I believe that the city attorney's office highlighted 3 of those items, and those are the ones that you have copies of the police reports for. The other items were not, in staff's opinion, of a level that would lead us to believe that those should be included in the probable cause.
But this is the first that I'm seeing any of these.
Correct.
Yeah,
When
and
we've done these in the past, we've normally seen it's been a little more contemporaneous with the negative incident.
right. And so yes, and I have some concerns about the timing as well. I think what it would be best to do is to consider, the agenda item in front of us, whether there is probable cause, and then I think certainly during the chairman report, I'm going to bring up the issue of timing. But so why don't we go ahead and move forward with just consideration of whether there is probable cause. Looks to me like, again, on the 3 incidents highlighted by the city attorney's office, which would be the 12/31 incident, the 12/31/2016, the 6/25/2017, and then the 7/9/2017. I would say that one or at least one, if not all 3, rise to the level of probable cause. But again, I'd be interested in hearing from the rest of the authority.
I'll speak up and say that I almost came to the exact opposite conclusion, that possibly none of the 3 had probable cause.
Okay.
And so we could go through each report and kind of look at the allegations, and if that indicts a liquor code violation, the way the liquor code is written. But in each one of these, there's, and we've seen this before, did the servers serve a visibly intoxicated person? And these are all after the fact. The police arrived on the scene after the fact. They took blood alcohol. That person was intoxicated, but were they visibly intoxicated? And the server should have known not to serve these people. And I know in the past we've said, okay, well, probable cause doesn't mean you have to have all the facts right here at this meeting, but we've seen in previous journeys down this road that additional witnesses and additional documents aren't brought forward in the subsequent show cause hearings, leading me to believe that they have just given us everything that they have. In LPD reports, and none of the LPD reports themselves indicate that there were witnesses describing the sale of the alcohol to the persons, and that the server noticed this guy was drunk and he continued to serve him, and then the guy left and got in the car and got in an accident. So
sure, I understand that. I guess my opinion on that is that we don't prosecute cases. The adversarial process plays out based on the evidence brought to us by the prosecutor and defended by the applicant. But I certainly wouldn't claim to know whether or not there's more information available. Like I said, certainly the incident on July 9th, based on the level of intoxication from a number of statements from people, it definitely seems probable to me that he would have been intoxicated while he was in the bar. I understand what your point is, that certainly doesn't mean a violation occurred. That would be for the next step in the process, but it seems to me that it meets the standard of probable. Are there any other?
Pretty low hurdle.
I would remind the authority that at the probable cause hearing, all you are determining is if there is probable cause to move on. You do not have to have sufficient evidence at this time to show that a violation occurred. As the chair mentioned, that is the purpose of a show cause hearing.
Lena, could you just remind us the standard of probable cause?
It's a reasonable belief.
I think with that in mind, it changed my mind also, because I was kind of like Tim, that I didn't, but we're not looking at evidence at this time, so.
Right, but there should be at least an indication that there is evidence. And if there isn't indication that there's evidence, I don't think we should proceed. None of the police reports state that there is a witness as to the visible inebriation at the time of sale. And by all accounts, on the July 9th incident where this guy was acting inappropriately, security of the establishment removed him and asked him to leave to the parking lot, and then the manager went to the parking lot and prevented him from driving off.
Sure. I completely agree that there was, the report indicates behavior from the applicant that I would certainly, I'm happy to see as far as that goes. But I don't see I don't see, to your point, I don't see any evidence that speaks to ruling out the possibility that someone was served while visibly intoxicated. So, and again, because we are certainly looking at a relatively low standard as far as moving forward, it seems to me that at the very least that incident meets the standard. Any other discussion or questions?
Well, I'm going to say I think probable cause is there, and I think we just gave the applicant a way out once we go to a show cause hearing. We have to have evidence. So.
Are there any of the 3 reports in particular that you don't think would even meet the basic, showing?
You know, I know they've got a lot of liability for their serving of people and then them getting into a car and getting into an accident, but that is liability on a different standard and it's not directly related to the liquor code as it's written. So the 2 that were accidents in front of their establishment from their patrons, as much as I hate to say it, because my wife was hit by someone leaving the Platts 3 years ago. Those don't speak to me. You know, the one is maybe this guy who was grinding in the establishment and how long did that behavior go for? And if he was served, continuously while acting a fool. But that would be the one I would focus on. But, then they've got mitigating circumstances there because they did address the issue. They did have the police come. They did stop him from driving away. They did kick him out of the serving area and they cut him off.
Those would be factors that we could consider if we did move forward.
If we say people were intoxicated that came out of that bar is probable cause that they were overserved. We've got a lot of places that people come out of bars intoxicated.
Can I ask, when city staff was putting together the information, did we know about any criminal charges relating from any of the incidents in question?
We have the same information that was provided to you.
Okay, so we don't know one way or the other.
Correct.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Well, I'm going to make a motion and then we can see if there's support and then we can discuss further. I move to find that there is probable cause to believe that Platte River Bar and Grill, Inc., doing business as Platte River Bar and Grill, 5995 South Santa Fe Drive, Littleton, Colorado, on December 31st, 2016, and or June 25th, 2017, and or July 9th, 2017, did violate the Colorado Liquor Code and Littleton City Code, and based upon these findings, that a public hearing be set for January 10th, 2018, for the purpose of considering the status of said license, wherein the above-mentioned licensee may be present to show cause, if any, why its license should not be suspended or revoked. And further, that notice of these findings in the hearing to show cause shall be forwarded and served to Platte River Bar and Grill, Inc., doing business as Platte River Bar and Grill, 5995 South Santa Fe Drive, Littleton, Colorado. In accordance with the provisions of state law, I move that a preliminary hearing, if necessary, be set for the 13th day of December 2017 for the purpose of considering a possible stipulation, if any, between the licensee and the city of Littleton.
I'm going to second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. I would just say under discussion, and then I'd be happy to hear from the other authority members. I certainly don't take it lightly that we move forward. I don't. I think I understand the resources that it requires to answer these questions, but I think it's important. I don't think that a a lack of evidence confirming there is not a violation, I don't think is the standard we're looking at tonight. So I think it does meet the probable cause standard, again, which is what we're considering tonight.
I have a procedural question, but it's probably not, should I not ask it now?
Go ahead, no,
If we're,
well, so it's-
we're setting a public hearing date in January on this, and if it goes to that, is that going to impact the
Authority
renewal?
Member Buchanan, can you speak into your microphone?
I'm sorry. We'll be setting a public hearing date, if necessary, for January 10th, 2018. Does that impact the renewal that's also floating around?
No, their renewal will not be impacted. This is a separate issue.
Okay, thank you.
Although a renewal wouldn't be signed if would a renewal be signed or would it?
This
would it
was
wait?
brought to you as probable cause, not a pre-renewal.
Not a pre-renewal, okay.
Right.
Okay.
We chose to do a pop top.
Colleen, was it just the vote or the whole lead-up? Just the vote, okay. Right, but the motion and the second were captured? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to wait one more minute since it's been 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. We'll come back to session. It's 7:08. I was told that the vote itself on our last motion was not recorded, so why don't we go back to, just to be sure, let's go back to item 7.2a, which was determination if probable cause exists to set show cause hearing for the Platte River Bar and Grill, Inc., doing business as the Platte River Bar and Grill, 5995 South Santa Fe Drive in Littleton, Colorado. There was a motion and a second. There was some discussion, and would the clerk please poll the authority again?
Chair Cole,
Yes.
Vice Chair Levere,
No.
Authority Member Buchanan,
Yes.
Authority Member Day,
No.
Authority Member Schock.
Yes.
The vote is 3-2. The motion carries.
Okay. Which moves us on to item 7.2b, which is to determine if probable cause exists to set a show cause hearing for T&K Smith Enterprises, Inc., doing business as the Castle Bar and Grill, 6657 South Broadway, Littleton, Colorado. And with this item, we have exhibits A through D, which is the Littleton Police Department memo, 2 Littleton Police Department reports, and proof of notification to the licensee. I move that we enter exhibits A through D into the record.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any discussion from the authority?
Based on the reports in this, I think the witness statements are a little stronger as compared to previous cases we've looked at. That the probable cause, in my opinion, had been met for us on this one.
I would agree that there were we have information including the number of drinks sold. There were drinks sold to him, which is evidence that there's a potential for sale to an intoxicated person. The number of drinks. I agree with you that there were several witness statements that indicated that the person in question might have been visibly intoxicated when he was served.
Can I get a clarification? I saw
Yeah.
9 drinks served, and he claimed he drank 7 of them? Is that what I read?
I think he claimed that, but based on the drink orders, I think you would, the breakdown was 5 beers and 3 mixed drinks, or 3 wines. And so I think, or 6 beers and 3 wines. So I think the 6 beers go to him and the 3 go to his the 3 wines go to his girlfriend. But that's just,
Yeah.
speculation.
Any other, and again, as we discussed on the previous agenda item, the standard we're looking to meet here is whether or not there was probable cause, which would set up a show cause hearing. Any other thoughts or questions?
Just to be clear, the comments that everybody just made were related to the October 7th, 2016 report?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
And then there's a second one dated September 4th, 2017.
Yeah, and specifically the October 7th incident, the bartender in question stated that the male was acting strange the entire time he was at the establishment, quote, like he was on drugs, which to me is, again, a fairly strong indication that from the person that, again, identified as a bartender in the report, would not necessarily could have been the only person taking drink orders that night, but that's a pretty strong statement to me.
All the permits were on time. We finished the house actually a month early, and I think part of that was because of the great city we have. Lots of people told me I was crazy to do this. 62 years old, recently divorced, starting totally from scratch, and they told me, just go buy a little townhouse, you'll be fine. But that's not what I wanted. The neighbors on either side I met right away, a couple behind me in the alley, and they'd just come over, and I felt welcome as soon as I moved in here. I decided to build this house rather than buy something because I wanted it to be all mine, and I wanted to prove that I could do something like this. The main reason, though, is Littleton. I love downtown Littleton. It takes me less than 10 minutes to walk there. All the shops, there are more and more restaurants going in, and I think this is the next Wash Park, and I wanted to be in on the ground floor of it.
What drew us to Old Littleton was we came out to visit Colorado as we were moving here, And our realtor drove us through downtown Littleton as the sun was setting over the mountains, and I saw the melting pot at the end of the street, and I said, I want to live in this neighborhood. And so we just scoured the streets and waited and made an offer on one house that we didn't get. And
well, we also really liked the old house bungalow feel. That was what we wanted. It wasn't just the melting pot, although that was a selling point. Well, when we first bought it, it was just 3 bedrooms and 1 bath on the main floor, kind of 900 square feet or so. It had been a rental, and so it was kind of dumpy, pretty dumpy. They had vinyl siding, they had a lot of...
Okay, it's 7:18. This meeting of the Littleton Licensing Authority will come back into session. We had a little bit of trouble with the video, so we took a brief recess. We were on item 7.2B of the agenda, which was to determine if probable cause exists to set a show cause hearing for T&K Smith Enterprises, Inc., doing business as the Castle Bar and Grill, 6657 South Broadway, Littleton, Colorado. And I was making a motion. I'll go ahead and start from the beginning. I move to find that there is probable cause to believe that T&K Smith Enterprises, Inc., doing business as the Castle Bar and Grill, 6657 South Broadway, Colorado, on October 7th, 2016 and or September 4th, 2017, did violate the Colorado Liquor Code and Littleton City Code, and based upon these findings, that a public hearing be set for January 10th, 2018, for the purpose of considering the status of the license, wherein the above-mentioned licensee may be present to show cause, if any, why its license should not be suspended or revoked. And further, that notice of these findings and the hearing to show cause shall be forwarded and served to T&K Smith Enterprises, Inc., doing business as the Castle Bar and Grill, 6657 South Broadway, Littleton, Colorado, in accordance with the provisions of state law. I move that a preliminary hearing, if necessary, be set for the 13th day of December 2017 for the purpose of considering a possible stipulation, if any, between the licensee and the city of Littleton.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Will the clerk please poll the authority?
Chair Cole,
Yes.
Vice Chair Levere,
Yes.
Authority Member Buchanan,
Yes.
Authority Member Day,
Yes.
Authority Member Schock.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
All right, so for those keeping track at home, we move to amend item 7.5A. So that's no longer on the agenda. The next item is 8A, a potential resolution 16/2017 of the Littleton Licensing Authority recommending approval of an ordinance amending Title III, Chapter 2 of the City Code regarding alcohol beverages. So I'll just quickly make the intro. We met over a couple of study sessions over the last several months. It's been quite a long time since the city code around liquor establishments and marijuana dispensaries, well, no, marijuana is new. It's been quite a while since the city code around liquor has been updated. So again, we met in a couple different study sessions, discussed some potential ways to bring the code up to the current day. And in our effort, there were a couple of things we were looking to clarify, some things that we brought into better alignment with where state law and state regulations were. So I'd be happy to just open it up if any of the authority members, again, all the study sessions were recorded, if anyone wants to look back at our discussion, but if any of the authority wants to speak to anything in particular, bring up anything, is there anything you all want to discuss?
Yeah, I think first I need to propose an amendment because in 3-10 prohibited acts, D, we had talked about this, it's a possession in or upon unlicensed premises, and it starts off by saying it shall be unlawful for the licensee on an unlicensed premises. And we had agreed that on an unlicensed premises, there is no licensee, so we're not really referring to anyone there. And we're going to remove licensee or change it to owner. And the red line edit here has gone to, it shall be unlawful for the licensee, manager, or his agent of a restaurant or his agent to permit, and it's a little jumbled there, so we need to amend that and clean that up.
Okay, so you're proposing, so the language we're looking at, again, just to make sure we're clear, possession in or upon unlicensed premises, it currently reads, it shall be unlawful for the licensee or manager of a restaurant or his agent to permit or for any person to have in his possession or under his control any fermented malt beverages or any malt, vinous or spirituous liquors in any container of any kind or description which is not sealed or on which the seal is broken in any restaurant which is not licensed pursuant to the Colorado Liquor and Beer Codes. And the current draft that would update that section has crossed out or in front of manager and then added or his agent. And Tim, just to be clear, you're saying that we would strike licensee,
Yes, so
manager, or his agent and just say owner.
I'll do this by motion, is that right?
You can do it as part of the main motion, or you can do a motion to amend.
Let's do a motion to amend.
I think it'd be
separately.
cleaner. Yeah, so why don't you
So
go ahead and do
I'll do this and say, I move that in 3-10 of the draft submitted to us, that we strike the changes presented and change licensee in that first line to owner. Owner, and then it shall read, it shall be unlawful for the owner or manager of a restaurant or his agent to permit, ...
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now we are considering an amended resolution. Yeah, go ahead.
I should have said this earlier, but may I also propose a motion to amend? And this is the heading of each sections as we went 3-2-10 is duplicated.
Yeah.
And we should be reading it 3-2-8, 3-2-9 to replace 3-2-10. Subsequent on the following page, we have 3-2-10, which replaced 11. So we need to get those ordered correctly before we submit this.
Okay.
We need to determine, should conduct in an establishment be 3-2-10 and prohibited acts as 3-2-9?
Authority Member Day, we will go ahead and amend those so that they follow, but that's something that the codifier does as well when we submit these.
So do we need a formal amendment, or is it something that we should point out for the record that?
I would point it out for the record, but it doesn't need to be a formal amendment.
Okay. So noted. Any other amendments, or like I said, anyone want to highlight anything that we had discussed? I don't feel the need to go through it all again, but if you feel particularly strongly about anything. Sure.
Did we have any, were you able to reach out to Lone Tree about any of their items that we had talked about in the study session?
No, we are just addressing this as it stands now. We're not looking to add anything from other jurisdictions at this time.
Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Would anyone like to make a motion?
And to be clear, this is a motion on the amended main motion.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, it's a motion on the amended resolution.
On the amended main motion to accept the resolution.
Well,
Because we did not amend the resolution. We're amending the actual code.
right. Well, okay. So as I understand it right now, we're amending, we moved to amend the text, and now we'll move to amend the text of the resolution.
Right.
Now we'll move to accept the resolution as amended.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Anyone want to make a motion?
I move to approve the resolution as amended, recommending approval of an ordinance amending Title III, Chapter 2 of the City Code regarding alcohol beverages.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Thanks again to city staff for bringing this to us. I think it was a good exercise. Thank you, especially Vice Chair Lavier, for all of your hard work. We all obviously, had a good discussion, but thanks for all the things that you brought to our attention. With that, will you pull the authority, please?
Chair Cole,
Yes?
Vice Chair Lavier,
Yes.
Authority Member Buchanan,
Yes.
Authority Member Day,
Yes.
Authority Member Schock.
Yes.
That motion passes. And just so that will obviously be delivered to City Council, and then I'm assuming that you all will keep us informed as to the progress of that.
Yes, Deputy Clerk Norton and myself will present that to council as soon as we can get it on their agenda. As I'm sure you are all aware, we will be swearing in 4 new council members on November 21st. And so I'm not sure what our agenda looks like for council for the next couple of months, but as soon as we can get it on there, we will. It will go to a first reading and a second reading if you'd like to follow along.
Yeah, would you?
And a study session first as well, if you would like to.
Would you mind just sending us an email when in case it's, I understand your point, but in case it's in between meetings so that we can follow along as we go?
Yes, absolutely. As soon as we have the process set out, we will let you guys know what the timeline is.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to item 11A. Any reports from staff?
No reports, but I did just want to in turn thank the authority for all the hard work that you put in and the time on getting this, these suggested amendments made and the research. And again, Vice Chair Lavier, thank you for your diligence to all of the little minutia that some of us miss. So we do appreciate it. And hopefully moving forward in our study sessions, and Lena and I have a couple others planned for you, that this will continue to be a process and a forum that we can kind of help educate each other on some things that we haven't covered in the past. So thank you for your time and effort on that.
And thank you both as well. Any reports from authority members? So under 11C, I don't necessarily have a report, but I did want to mention, since we have a member of the police department here, I was surprised to see how long it had been since a couple of those items had occurred. And I wanted, would you mind, could we have a quick... Good evening.
Hi.
And would you again identify yourself just for those of our fans listening at home?
Yeah, my name's Kevin Hampton. I'm a sergeant with the police department.
Sergeant Hampton, thank you. And I believe you were in most recently, is that right?
Correct.
And we had talked about at the time, the last conversation we had was about if there were any changes. It had been a while since we had any potential violations in front of us, and we had talked about whether there were any changes and what was going on. I was just curious. So as I understand it, the process is that either the police department brings a potential show cause or a potential violation to the city prosecutor's office or the city attorney's office, or the other way it could get there is during a background check for a potential renewal. Acknowledging that you may not be an expert on the couple of cases that we looked at tonight, is there any difference on how the police department may be looking at violations as opposed to the city attorney's office? And I just ask because though we obviously had a little bit of a discrepancy on the vote, one of the votes was unanimous, and that was quite a long time ago from the time that the incident took place until it was brought here to us.
Right. And I think part of that is because of just the way that the system is set up. The way that our RMS, our records management system, works is anytime there's a violation of any kind, the most severe of the charges, if you would, is how the report is titled in our records management system. So if something happens at a bar, but it ends up being an assault or a domestic violence or something along those lines, then that's how the report title comes in for us to see. And so without actually wading through every single word of every single police report that comes in, we may or may not realize that this actually happened at a liquor establishment. And that is up until I get the request from Colleen for the renewal, and then I go back in and I have to manually search that address for every single police report that happened at that address related to the liquor license. So the fact that I don't read every single police report that comes through every day, sometimes they slip through and I don't see that they are actually something that happened at the bar until, almost a year later. If they're renewal was on November 1st and we're looking from, November 1st for the entire last year. It may be 360 days since their last renewal that something happened and I don't see it because it was titled something different or I didn't read, the reports that happened on my days off, whatever. So there's not really a fail-safe, a catch-all for us to know that every single violation happened at a bar and then it comes to my attention, so then I can send it to Colleen, other than the fact that, once that renewal comes through, then I will go back and look. But again, sometimes there's a time lapse there, so.
Sure. So this is probably just a good thing for us to get educated on. So on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis, when your officers are out on calls, there's nothing about an incident afterwards other than what gets entered into the record that flags for you. I mean, since you're our liaison, does it all come through you?
Yes.
Okay.
For the most part.
So there's no other way, either an email or some sort of shift change communication. There's nothing other than the records management system that's indicating to you whether or not something took place in a licensed establishment.
Correct.
Okay. So I understand that, but it would certainly seems like it could be an area for improvement of a process. Again, because
And Chair Cole, to that, during one of our breaks this evening, Assistant City Attorney McClelland and I did have a conversation with Sergeant Hampton, and what I will start doing is doing a request quarterly for a group of licenses so that each quarter we're getting reports. It won't be for all of them. Like, I'll have to split it up a little bit because we have 103 licenses and
right.
And one Kevin. So we will start doing requests quarterly so that if something pops up, we will know sooner than the renewal.
Okay. I would leave it to you all as to how to go about that. It does seem to me like there's something we could do that would be wouldn't require you to do a search by address on 103 on a regular basis, but that would more quickly bring it to our attention, especially if we're talking about things like eyewitness testimony, the further we get from, and by the time it comes to us, it can it can easily be 2 or 3 months before we would have an actual hearing. So if we're talking about a year and a half later, obviously that puts us in a tough spot as far as trying to determine what really happened.
Right.
So would definitely appreciate, anything that you all can do to make sure that, we're getting the information we need to make those determinations. Any other questions, thoughts?
Yeah, on that same topic, in that record management system, it's going to base the location on the address entered in, correct?
On the what? I'm sorry?
Address entered in of where the incident happened.
Yes.
What if there was a liquor code violation and then that led to something happening down the street at a different address? Does that correlate at all back if someone says, I was at this establishment where I was, whatever happened, and then I left and went down the street and did this incident?
So for example, if they drove to a house later on and there was an incident there, and then the address and would it be able to tie back to a license?
Yeah.
Short answer, no.
Okay.
Typically, because, and again, I don't want to, take away from, what's happening here, but this is not necessarily the main concern of the police officer that's on the street handling the call. And so, something like a DUI, if we can tie the DUI back to the establishment, then that's obviously what they're going to try and do. But if someone is at an establishment drinking and they go home and they get into a physical altercation with their spouse, the crime happened at the location of the physical altercation, and what happened at the bar is secondary, and quite frankly probably won't make it into the police report. So
I'm just thinking if we had the ability to eradicate the root cause of the crime that your guys are responding to, if we address it at the point, do we eliminate the next thing that happens?
Yeah, we're on the same page with that. So, but again, what happens, removed from the establishment isn't necessarily going to tie us back to the establishment, and we work with, probable cause and those kind of things. And just because you were drinking at the tavern doesn't mean that was the proximate cause of the domestic violence at your house, and so when our reports are based on facts and not speculation, we stick to those.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
How far back in time are the licensees going to be on the hook for something that happens? I mean, one of these incidents was well over a year ago. The licensee had the police there, dealt with that issue, and then 13 months later, they're getting hauled before us. There's I don't know where this procedure fits into the licensing. Is it just something that they've accepted because they have a liquor license so this could be 3 years ago?
No, it would never be 3 years ago because it would come to light during their annual renewal.
Should we not go past their last renewal?
Well, we don't
Okay.
go past their last renewal. Anything that you get is what was gleaned during Sergeant Hampton's search based on dates that I provide him. Those dates are based on the date of their last renewal to current date. Now, sometimes we have licensees who renew really early. So instead of a 12-month time period, you might have 14 or 15 months. And we have some that renew late, so you might only have a 10-month window. And we do recognize that there is room for improvement in getting the information to you more timely, and that's something that we will work on together to see if there isn't something we can do to make that happen. But we provide the information to you as soon as we get it.
And I'm not challenging
No,
that.
no,
I
no,
get
no,
it.
no.
You got a lot of other priorities and things like that. And where I'm going more is a little bit more on the due process side, that I'm imagining that this was a surprise for both of these establishments today, that some of these incidents that happened some time ago are now all of a sudden causing a problem. And I don't know, if we need to, or if there is a way to provide notice to licensees going forward that, hey, if something happens, you know, just because it happened a long time ago doesn't mean it's not going to cause a problem for you. Maybe that would even, I don't know if, you know, maybe it gives them an incentive to be communicating with us if something happens. Just throwing that out there, because that was the thing that caught me, was just the time frame involved here. If this had happened, you know, if this October 1 of last year had happened last week, we wouldn't even been having a discussion. Of course, we'd be moving forward with that. I think that's what caught some of us off guard. Not in any way, I get it, you got a lot of police reports, a lot of things to deal with, not challenging that. I'm really was focused more on the notice to the licensees that this might be something they have to deal with that could be further in time than they might imagine. Because they're trying to run their business, and we're not trying to look for reasons to, thank you, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So I'll leave it at that, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, for all the parties involved, for the licensee, for us, you know, anyone who has to be a part of it, like I said, I think the sooner the better. So thank you all for taking a look at the process, and anything you can do to.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, you guys, you walk a fine line between, you know, we value our communication with our establishments and the fact that they do call us, you know, and I personally would see it as a negative that because there are 10 or 12 or 15 police reports, that's held against them, because it's when they're not calling us that we're worried about what's going on in there. You know, we understand from our perspective that bars are going to have problems. You know, people drink alcohol and they do silly things, and we expect that we're going to be called there. So, you know, when I would hope that when you guys look at these, you look at them as, we're thankful that these owners are calling us and telling us that there are problems there, because then we can come in and do our job, and those problems aren't, you know, slipping through the cracks, being hidden from us. So I think we all walk a fine line in our relationship with them, and so I appreciate you guys kind of balancing those when you see these, you know, numerous police reports. So
Absolutely. I think that's a great point to be made, and I certainly wouldn't want to, I agree. It's you know, for the community safety, it's always better that you all are there when something happens than not. So I agree, and I can't speak for everyone, but I agree with the idea that we are balancing those really important needs, that we want to make sure that, and it seems to me that over my time, and I think especially since the policy changed to allow officers to be in the establishments right off duty, I think that was a really positive thing that probably has, you know, improved some of the licensees. So, you know, it seems to me like the relations with the licensees is probably in a good spot. So I appreciate you bringing that to us. All right, any other thoughts or questions? Thank you, Sergeant Hampton, appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, seeing nothing further, this meeting is adjourned.